Welcome to Beyond Hindsight, where looking back helps us think forward. This is a space for reflection, perspective, and lived experience. A place where personal stories, current events, and past moments are examined for the deeper lessons they carry. About life, leadership, culture, and identity. If you have a story, a perspective, or a topic you believe deserves to be explored, or if you're interested in being part of a conversation, you can reach me at beyondhindsight.media@gmail.com. I appreciate all your submissions. For now, though, let us begin with today's topic. When you are confronted with a personal crisis, be it the failure of a business venture, the breakdown of a relationship, or the death of a loved one, the human first response is emotions. Some people feel grief, others turn towards anger, and there are those which dissociate towards a state of apathy. All of these reactions are essential to protecting oneself and are tried and tested coping mechanisms. But what comes after this initial stage of emotional reaction? What has transpired needs to be studied, analyzed, and worked through in order to find closure and learn the specific lessons which lay hidden behind the pain, the grief, the anger. Unfortunately, too many individuals end up stuck in the first stage and do not manage to change their perspective to a reflective one, which eventually renders the experience constructive. Last time, we looked at the cultural tendency of Switzerland and its citizens to eschew the second step in the pursuit of the maintenance of its pristine image. Today, though, I would like to explore individual accounts of people that have suffered from the consequences of the neglect of the reflection of past experiences. All of these cases have been gathered and verified through submissions and accounts over the past years of study. For the sake of being representative, they all focus on the realm of romantic relationships. As our behavior with romantic partners displays the rawest form of our personalities and tendencies, it provides fruitful grounds for the study of individuals' reactions to negative events and past experiences. Our first case relates to a man we will call Greg. He is fully anonymized, of course. Greg is in his mid-30s, a successful business owner in the IT industry, and has both a thriving social life as well as the monetary capabilities to live the life of a digital nomad who travels the world. A picture-perfect existence, one may assume. One part this short description is not covered, however, is his romantic life. While Greg has always been sought after by romantic partners, none of his long-term relationships have so far manifested in the starting of a family, something he deeply wishes for. There is a cost for this, as you may infer already. Greg is stuck in an ever-repeating cycle of meeting a woman who fits his needs, builds a relationship with her, moves in together with her, then starts traveling the world with her, but eventually he is broken up with a few years down the line, which is then followed by the next woman he starts the cycle with shortly again after the previous breakup. The definition of a vicious circle. You can already tell which stage is severely missing in Greg's pattern. He neither takes the time to grieve the loss of a partner, nor does he invest the time and effort to analyze why the relationship failed in the first place. Therein lies the huge issue. After all, the relationships do not fail because the women fall out of love with him, but because he abuses them both mentally as well as physically. A fact he completely disregards. Whereas I do not want to go into detail of the disturbing contents of said actions, it needs to be stated that it is learned behavior from his own familial history, which makes these circumstances twice as illustrative for the importance of reflection. Neither his family as a whole, nor Greg himself with his own repeating patterns of domestic abuse and the breaking apart of relationships, have ever invested the time and effort needed to address past mistakes. Instead, accountability is attributed to the other party involved in order to absolve oneself from responsibility. This may lighten the perceived burden on one's shoulders initially, but the underlying problem remains. Severely flawed behavior will always lead to negative outcomes if the origin of it remains unaddressed. Greg cannot change his familial history, but if he were to seek help in the confrontation of his own past, he may yet find a way to treat his romantic partners in a way which allows them to build the solid foundation for a family which he so deeply seeks. Our informant in the second case of a lack of reflection will be called Howard. Howard, just like Greg, is in his 30s, quite successful in his career as a private security contractor, and practices an active social life. To him, family is everything, and he cherishes nothing more than to host potlucks, barbecues, and get-togethers with his relatives. Naturally, he wishes to have his own family in order to uphold this tradition in the future. Despite numerous long-term relationships, Howard, too, has not yet managed to find a partner which will stay by his side in this pursuit. Both of the women he attempted to lay the foundation for a family with have eventually left him to start anew with someone else. Howard does not show the same malign behaviors as Greg does, however. Quite the contrary. He loves nothing more than to care for his partner, cook for him, take care of the chores, fulfill their every wish, and he even pays for bi-weekly trips and travels he takes him on. This behavior of complete and utter devotion, which is grounded in profound love and the intent to show his best side at all times in order to lock his partner down by his side, results in the exact opposite. He comes across as overbearing, practices love bombing, and effectively scares his partners off. Despite this occurring numerous times now, he cannot seem to shake this behavior. And again, the problem is clear. Instead of confronting the reasons for a breakup after it happens, Howard attributes the failure of relationships to his previous partner being ungrateful and undeserving of what he has to offer. The fact that he basically drowns them in emotion and affection, behavior which may overstimulate and scare some people, lays completely unaddressed underneath this reasoning. The consequence, he does it again and is eventually caught in the same situation again years later down the line, after another failed relationship. Once more, a true vicious circle. It is important to note why I picked two examples of people in their mid-30s. They have repeated the same pattern of behavior for years and lost a large chunk of their early adulthood in doing so. In spite of their shared wish for their own family, they have continuously perpetrated the same mistakes in the pursuit of this larger goal, which led to repeated failures and more wasted years. Had they chosen to address the underlying issues of their failed relationships along the way, they may have already corrected their course and found their partner to build a family with. Naturally, it is easier said than done to analyze and deconstruct a failed relationship in order to improve oneself for the next one. It takes large amounts of energy and courage to assume responsibility and realize what has been done wrong previously. Many individuals do not wish to face the blame or the pain they have caused others. Therefore, It is all the more important that we teach our children, peers, or pupils how important it is to confront failure of the past in order to improve for the future. This is neither done nor learned overnight. It takes time and baby steps, which is why it is so crucial to start young and when it does not count yet. I wish we lived in a society and culture which put an emphasis on accountability and responsibility, to sensitize people to practice this as early and conscientiously as possible. Whereas Greg and Howard serve as cases for failed or inexistent reflection, there is also the story of Matt, who illustrates the growth which can be achieved if you do so. Matt is in his late 20s. He owns a public relations agency. Like Greg and Howard, he has a large focus on his family life. He too has struggled with maintaining long-term relationships, despite a wish to settle with a partner by his side. The reasons for the breaking down of his previous relationships were diverse from an outside perspective. Mental health issues on either side, substance abuse, familial pressure, and many others. It would be easy to attribute the failure of all these relationships to bad matches, ill luck, or outside influences. Matt chose another route, however. After the initial stages of grief, anger, and self-blame, he used each instance of a breakup to engage with his own behavior throughout the relationship. Through the course of these exercises, he unearthed that his own behavior served to either accelerate or cause the breaking down. He was able to identify what had negatively impacted him in his pursuit of a functioning romance, his inability to cope with his own past. Having suffered numerous instances of trauma in the past without ever addressing it in a professional setting, the untreated trauma always seemed to unearth within his relationships as soon as he started to let his guard down or his mask slip. After having realized this, he started to both seek outside help as well as focus on his own endeavors to overcome his past experiences. Ever since committing to this, he has been able to keep a steady relationship. Through engaging with the three individuals whose story has been outlined in this episode, it has become even more apparent how important it is to muster the strength to look at past events, no matter how painful it may be. When relationships break down, it rarely is the fault of one person alone. Every future romantic partner deserves that one takes a close look at past actions in order to improve for what awaits next. It takes a gargantuan amount of energy and courage to look at oneself in the mirror and ask the tough questions. What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? What was the cause for all of this? But only through facing all of this, we are able to get to the bottom of things and learn the lessons needed for closure and self-improvement. This episode is focused heavily in the romantic realm, but the concepts discussed apply to business, leadership, family, and history as a whole just as much. I'm looking forward to analyzing such cases with you in the future. Thank you for spending this time with me. If these reflections resonate with you, you're welcome to subscribe and join me for future conversations. Until next time, think carefully, look deeply, and go beyond hindsight.